Hi there everyone. So I'm sure a lot of you by now have seen some of the antiques that I sometimes bring into school. Since we're all back in lockdown now, I thought I'd go through some more of the items in my collection in a bit more detail than we'd normally be able to in the school. So, as you can see, here we have a DVD. I'm sure a lot of you have used one of these at some point in your life when you wanted to watch a movie at home. But, what did you do if you wanted to watch a movie at home before DVDs? Well, that's what today's episode is all about. So here we've got a couple of VHS tapes. I'm sure you'll all recognize at least one of these movies. And these were what you would use if you wanted to watch a movie at home before DVDs existed. Let's take a closer look at one of the tapes. So we've got Back to the Future here. Through these plastic screens you can actually see the tape that stores all of the movie. The side of it. And on the tapes, can't really see it, but there's a little button on the back of them you can push in, and it actually lets you, should you do it with one hand, it actually lets you open up the back and see some of the tape. You can tell roughly what point the movie is at by looking through these two plastic screens. This one was watched a while ago, and so all of the tape has gone to this end. As the movie goes along, all of the tape goes from this end and goes down to this end. So you can tell that this movie is at the end because all of the tape has gone to the other side. If it were fully rewound, and at the start of the movie, the tape would all be in this side, and this would be empty. And here we've got a VCR machine, and these are the machines you would use to play the tapes when you wanted to use them. For quite a while they would just play videotapes, but when DVDs started to come along they actually made machines like this one here, which could play both DVDs and tapes. A lot of these symbols you'll probably be familiar with, like play, rewind, fast forward, stop and pause. This button here you use to switch between DVD and VCR mode, so if you're playing a DVD but you want to switch to a tape, you just push this. Now it's on disc mode. This button here is interesting. Back when VHSs were around, along with buying movies on VHS, you were also able to buy blank tapes, and you would put them into the machine, and when you push this button you could actually record what was on the TV at the time. So if there was a movie or a TV show that you wanted to watch again, you would just buy a blank tape and put in the machine and record it. These three cables here are the AV cords, and you would use these to connect the VCR machine to the TV. You would plug them into the outlets similar to this one. There are more AV outlets on the back of the machine that I won't record, but this is what they look like. So we're going to plug the AV cords in and give you a demonstration. So we've got Star Wars Episode 1 here. If you can see the tape, it's not quite at the start of the movie yet, you can see quite a lot of tape there. So before we start it, we're going to have to rewind it first. You can see right now the machine is actually in DVD mode, so we'll switch back to VHS mode with that button. Now it's in VHS mode. Actually, before I put the tape in, I'll give you a look of the insides of the player. There you go. And that's the inside of the tape player. Now, to start the movie, put the tape in the slot like that. Once you push it in far enough, there's a thing in the machine that will actually suck it in the rest of the way. Like that. Now first, we've got to rewind the movie back to the start. To do that, we push rewind. In a few seconds it'll start making a sound. You'll hear the machine winding the tape back. And the further that the machine has to wind the tape back, the louder that sound is. It didn't have to wind it far back then, but if it had to wind it all the way back, it would have been very loud. Now we'll start the movie. We'll skip a bit. Skip ahead to the start of the movie. Fun thing about these old machines is that you could watch the movie in fast motion like this. Here we go. And we all know how this goes. It was one of the more difficult things about using these tapes, though, because with DVDs these days you can just tell the DVD exactly what part of the movie you want to skip to. But with these tapes, you actually had to fiddle around a bit until you found the spot that you wanted. It was kind of guesswork. And there you have Star Wars.
Is it in their nature to make us wait this long?
No, I sense an unusual amount of fear for something.
And that's VHS tapes for you folks. Some of you might have noticed that two of my tape covers had writing on them. And these are actually signatures, autographs of the actors who were in these movies. A few years ago I was able to meet the actors from these movies and have them sign my tape covers. Anyone who's seen Back to the Future, I'm sure, will remember Biff Tannen. This is Tom Wilson's signature here. I met him at an event back in Sydney 4 years ago and had him sign all 3 of my tape covers. And here we've got 2001: A Space Odyssey. That's Keir Dullea's signature, and there's Gary Lockwood. This is quite an old film from 1968. It's a very famous science fiction film, and when it turned 50 back in 2018, they held a special event in Melbourne where they brought the 2 original lead actors from the movie to celebrate it, and I was able to meet both of them and have them sign my tape. You know, I just thought of something. We all know what these buttons here do. This makes it play, this makes it pause. What would happen if you push both of them at the same time? Like, both buttons do the opposite thing from one another. What would happen if you told it to do both things at the same time? Probably nothing, but let's see and find out. Doesn't seem to do anything.